Have you ever noticed that the harder you chase something, the more it slips away? Whether it's happiness, love, or success, it often feels like the more desperate you are to have it, the more elusive it becomes. But what if I told you that this isn't just a coincidence? What if this struggle, this constant chasing, actually pushes away the very things you desire the most? This is the paradox that lies at the heart of the backwards law, a concept first introduced by philosopher Alan Watts. It's the idea that the more you pursue something, the less likely you are to achieve it. The more you try to be happy, the more anxious and dissatisfied you become. The more you chase success, the further it seems to slip out of reach. And the more you seek control over life, the more chaotic it feels. But why is that? Why does effort sometimes create resistance instead of progress? Why does trying harder sometimes lead to worse outcomes? These are the questions we'll explore in this journey. A journey that will challenge everything you've been taught about success, happiness, and the art of letting go. Along the way, we'll draw on ancient wisdom from Stoicism, Taoism, and Zen philosophy. We'll explore the teachings of great thinkers like Alan Watts, Epictetus, and Lao Tzu, and we'll uncover the surprising truth about why doing less, and even doing nothing, can sometimes be the most powerful path to getting everything you've ever wanted. By the end of this video, you'll understand why letting go of control is the key to unlocking abundance, freedom, and peace. You'll learn how to stop chasing and start allowing. And you'll discover how the backwards law can transform your life in ways you never imagined. So if you're ready to break free from the endless cycle of chasing and struggling, if you're ready to experience a new way of living where success and happiness flow effortlessly into your life, then keep watching, because this might just be the most important lesson you'll ever learn. The core of the backwards law. Have you ever felt like the harder you try to make something happen, the more it resists you? Maybe you've worked tirelessly to be happy, only to end up feeling more stressed and dissatisfied. Or perhaps you've chased after success, relationships, or recognition, but the more you chase, the further they seem to slip from your grasp. This isn't just bad luck. It's a paradox that lies at the very heart of life. It's what philosopher Alan Watts famously called the backwards law. The idea that the more you pursue something, the more elusive it becomes. The harder you try to be happy, the unhappier you feel. The more you strive for success, the more unfulfilled you become. And the more desperately you cling to control, the more chaotic and unpredictable life seems. At first, this idea might seem strange. After all, aren't we taught that effort is the key to success? That hard work, determination, and persistence will eventually get us what we want. But the backwards law turns that logic on its head. It suggests that sometimes the very act of wanting, striving, and chasing creates resistance, and that true happiness, success, and peace come not from chasing them, but from letting go. This paradox is deeply rooted in ancient philosophical traditions. In Taoism, it's known as Wu Wei, or effortless action, the art of flowing with life instead of fighting against it. The Tao Te Ching, written by Lao Tzu, teaches that when we stop trying to control everything, we align ourselves with the natural flow of the universe. And that's when things start to fall into place. Similarly, in Zen Buddhism, there's a concept called zazen, or just sitting. It's the practice of doing nothing, not as a way to escape reality, but as a way to fully experience it. By letting go of expectations and simply being present, practitioners of zazen discover a profound sense of peace and clarity. Even in Western philosophy, we find echoes of the backwards law. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus taught that we should focus on what we can control, our thoughts, actions, and attitudes, and let go of what we can't. By releasing our attachment to external outcomes, we free ourselves from anxiety and disappointment. And modern psychology confirms this paradox too. Studies on the ironic process theory show that when we try too hard to suppress certain thoughts or feelings, they tend to come back even stronger. It's why telling yourself, "Don't be nervous" before a big presentation often makes you even more anxious. and why trying to fall asleep by force often leaves you wide awake. But why does this happen? Why does trying harder sometimes lead to worse outcomes? It's because effort creates resistance. When we chase after happiness, we're subtly reinforcing the belief that we don't have it, and that creates a sense of lack. When we strive for success, we're focused on what we don't have, and that focus can block us from appreciating what we do have. In other words, the more we focus on what we lack, the more we experience lack. And that's the paradox of the backwards law. The key to getting what you want is to stop trying so hard to get it. By embracing this paradox and learning to let go, you can break free from the endless cycle of chasing and struggling. You can learn to live with less effort, less anxiety, and more flow. And as we'll explore in the next section, that's when life starts to transform in unexpected and magical ways. How to apply the backwards law, letting go to gain everything. Now that we understand the paradox of the backwards law, that trying harder can sometimes push what you desire further away, the next question is, how can you actually apply this law in your daily life? How can you stop chasing, let go of control, and paradoxically allow everything you want to flow to you naturally? Letting go doesn't mean giving up. It doesn't mean you stop setting goals or striving to improve. It means changing your relationship with effort, desire, and control. It means learning to release attachment to outcomes and embracing the present moment, trusting that what you seek will come to you when the time is right. This may sound abstract, but it's a deeply practical philosophy that can transform your life in profound ways. Let's explore how you can apply the backwards law in 3 key areas of life: happiness, success, and relationships. 1. Letting go of the pursuit of happiness. Have you ever noticed that the more you try to be happy, the harder it becomes to actually feel happy? You might read self-help books, follow happiness hacks, and chase pleasure, but instead of feeling fulfilled, you end up feeling more anxious, restless, or empty. This happens because when you chase happiness, you're implicitly telling yourself that you're not happy, and that creates a sense of lack. You're constantly comparing your current state to some imagined future where you'll finally be happy, and that gap creates dissatisfaction. The key to breaking this cycle is to stop chasing happiness and start allowing it. This is where the wisdom of mindfulness and present moment awareness comes in. When you stop resisting your current experience and simply allow yourself to be present, you create space for genuine happiness to arise naturally. As the Buddha taught, happiness does not depend on what you have or who you are. It solely relies on what you think. When you let go of the idea that happiness is something you need to achieve, you realize that it's already within you. 2. Letting go of the struggle for success. In our culture, we're often taught that success comes from relentless hustle, constant striving, and never settling for less. But this mindset can lead to burnout, anxiety, and a perpetual sense of inadequacy. No matter how much you achieve, it never feels like enough because you're always chasing the next goal, the next promotion, the next milestone. The backwards law offers a radically different approach. Instead of obsessively chasing success, focus on doing what you love, following your passion, and adding value to the world. And let success be a byproduct of that. This is the philosophy of Wu Wei in action. In the Tao Te Ching, Lao Tzu writes, "By letting it go, it all gets done. The world is won by those who let it go. But when you try and try, the world is beyond winning." When you stop obsessing over external measures of success and focus instead on the process, on doing meaningful work, on mastering your craft, on contributing to something larger than yourself, you'll often find that success flows to you effortlessly. 3. Letting go of control in relationships. Relationships are another area where the backwards law plays out in powerful ways. Have you ever been in a situation where the more you try to get someone to like you, the more distant they become? Or the more you cling to a relationship, the more unstable it feels? This happens because control creates resistance. When you try to control someone else's feelings, actions, or behavior, you're operating from a place of fear and attachment, and that energy can push people away. The key to healthy, fulfilling relationships is to let go of the need to control and focus instead on being the kind of person you want to attract. When you let go of neediness, desperation, and attachment, you create space for genuine connection to flourish. As the poet Rumi beautifully said, "Don't seek love. Seek to remove the barriers you have built against it, and love will naturally flow." The power of letting go. When you stop chasing, striving, and clinging, you open yourself up to a deeper, more effortless way of living. You realize that you don't need to force things to happen. Life has its own flow, and when you align yourself with that flow, things start to happen naturally. This doesn't mean you'll never face challenges or setbacks, but it does mean that you'll face them with more grace, ease, and resilience, because you're no longer fighting against reality. You're flowing with it. In the next section, we'll explore the deeper spiritual and philosophical implications of the backwards law and how this paradoxical principle has been understood and applied by mystics, sages, and philosophers throughout history. The deeper philosophy behind the backwards law, wisdom from ancient teachings. Have you ever wondered why so many ancient teachings emphasize the paradox of letting go? Why mystics, philosophers, and spiritual masters from various traditions seem to agree that the key to gaining everything lies in doing nothing? This is not a coincidence. The paradox of the backwards law is deeply rooted in ancient wisdom, spanning Eastern and Western philosophies, from Taoism and Buddhism to Stoicism and Sufism. These teachings offer profound insights into why surrender, detachment, and non-resistance are essential for a meaningful and fulfilling life. Let's dive deeper into the philosophical underpinnings of the backwards law by exploring some of the most influential thinkers and spiritual traditions that have embraced this paradoxical principle. 1. Taoism, the wisdom of Wu Wei, effortless action. In Taoism, the concept of Wu Wei, which can be translated as effortless action or non-doing, is central to understanding the backwards law. At first, the idea of doing nothing might sound lazy or passive, but Wu Wei is actually a deeply active form of alignment with the natural flow of life. Lao Tzu, the legendary author of the Tao Te Ching, teaches that the more we try to control, force, or resist life, the more we create struggle and suffering. True mastery, he says, comes not from striving, but from surrendering to the Tao, the underlying flow and order of the universe. By letting it go, it all gets done, Lao Tzu writes. The world is won by those who let it go. But when you try, the world is beyond winning. When you stop trying to control every outcome and start trusting the natural flow of life, you often find that things fall into place effortlessly. This is the essence of the backwards law. The paradox that letting go of control is the key to gaining true mastery. 2. Buddhism, the art of non-attachment. Another profound source of wisdom on the backwards law comes from Buddhism, which emphasizes the importance of non-attachment. According to the Buddha, attachment to desires, outcomes, and external things is the root cause of suffering. When you cling to something, whether it's wealth, status, or even the idea of happiness, you create a sense of lack and dissatisfaction. But when you let go of attachment and accept things as they are, you free yourself from suffering and discover a deeper sense of peace and contentment. As the Buddha said, you only lose what you cling to. This is a profound reminder that true freedom and fulfillment come not from getting more, but from letting go. Buddhist meditation practices, such as mindfulness and loving kindness, are designed to help you cultivate this state of non-attachment. By observing your thoughts and emotions without clinging to them, you learn to flow with life rather than resist it, and that's when genuine happiness arises. 3. Stoicism, embracing what you can't control. While Taoism and Buddhism emphasize flowing with life and letting go of attachment, Stoicism offers a practical, grounded approach to applying the backwards law in everyday life. One of the core principles of Stoicism is the distinction between what you can control and what you can't. According to the Stoic philosopher Epictetus, We suffer when we try to control things that are beyond our power, like other people's opinions, the outcome of events, or the passage of time. Freedom is the only byproduct of letting go of what you can't control, Epictetus teaches. By focusing on what is within your power, your thoughts, actions, and character, you free yourself from unnecessary stress, anxiety, and frustration. This Stoic mindset is closely aligned with the backwards law. When you stop obsessing over things you can't control and focus instead on living virtuously, you often find that your life improves in unexpected ways. Success, peace, and fulfillment become natural byproducts of this shift in perspective. 4. Sufism, surrendering to the divine will. In the mystical tradition of Sufism, the concept of surrender, or tawakkul, is central to spiritual growth. Sufis teach that true freedom and enlightenment come from surrendering to the will of the divine and letting go of the ego's need for control. This surrender is not a form of passivity or defeat. It's an active, conscious choice to trust that everything is unfolding according to a higher plan, even when things don't go as you expect. As the Sufi poet Rumi beautifully writes, "Try not to resist the changes that come your way. Instead, let life live through you, and do not worry that your life is turning upside down. How do you know that the side you are used to is better than the one to come?" When you stop resisting life's ups and downs and surrender to the flow, you open yourself up to unexpected blessings and opportunities. This is yet another manifestation of the backwards law, the paradox that letting go leads to abundance. The common thread, letting go of the ego. What unites these ancient teachings is the idea that true freedom, peace, and fulfillment come from letting go of the ego, the part of you that is constantly striving, clinging, and resisting. The ego is obsessed with control, perfection, and external validation. It tells you that you need to achieve more, be more, and have more in order to be worthy. But when you identify with the ego, you create endless suffering because nothing is ever enough. The paradox of the backwards law is that when you stop trying to satisfy the ego's endless demands and start living from a place of presence, surrender, and non-attachment, you discover that everything you've been chasing was already within you all along. In the next section, we'll explore how the backwards law can be applied on a spiritual level to help you transcend the ego, awaken to your true nature, and experience a deeper sense of meaning, purpose, and connection. The backwards law in spiritual awakening, transcending the ego. Have you ever felt like life is a constant battle between who you truly are and who the world expects you to be? This inner tension, the relentless push to prove your worth, to achieve, to accumulate, and to control, is at the heart of the ego's struggle. The backwards law offers a profound solution to this existential dilemma. By doing nothing, by letting go of the ego's desires, attachments, and illusions, you can awaken to your true nature and experience a deeper sense of meaning, purpose, and spiritual fulfillment. In this section, we'll explore how the backwards law can be applied on a spiritual level to help you transcend the ego, dissolve the illusion of separateness, and reconnect with your higher self. This journey is not about adding more to your life. It's about stripping away the layers of conditioning that have obscured the truth of who you really are. 1. The illusion of the ego. Why we suffer at the core of most spiritual teachings is the idea that the ego is the source of human suffering. But what exactly is the ego? The ego is the false sense of self that we construct through our thoughts, beliefs, and identities. It's the voice in your head that says, "I am my achievements," "I am my possessions," or "I am what other people think of me." The ego is constantly seeking validation, control, and security, but no matter how much it gets, it's never satisfied. This is why the pursuit of more success, more recognition, more material possessions, often leads to more anxiety, more emptiness, and more suffering. The backwards law reveals the paradox at the heart of this struggle. The harder you chase after happiness, the more it eludes you because true happiness cannot be found through the ego. 2. Letting go of the ego. The path to liberation. So how do you transcend the ego and break free from this cycle of suffering? The answer lies in letting go. Spiritual masters from various traditions teach that the key to liberation is not to fight the ego, but to see through it. When you recognize that the ego is just a mental construct, a collection of thoughts, beliefs, and conditioned patterns, you begin to disidentify from it. This process of letting go is at the heart of the backwards law. By doing nothing, by stopping the endless striving, clinging, and resisting, you create space for your true self to emerge. You begin to experience life from a place of presence, awareness, and acceptance, rather than from the ego's endless need for control. The power of presence. Living in the now. One of the most powerful ways to transcend the ego and align with the backwards law is to cultivate presence, the state of being fully here and now. In his book, The Power of Now, spiritual teacher Eckhart Tolle explains that the ego cannot survive in the present moment because it feeds on past regrets and future anxieties. When you bring your attention fully into the present, you break free from the ego's grip and experience a deeper sense of peace, clarity, and aliveness. As Tolle says, when you become comfortable with uncertainty, infinite possibilities open up in your life. This is the paradox of the backwards law. When you let go of your need for certainty, control, and outcomes, you open yourself up to unexpected opportunities, synchronicities, and miracles. The illusion of separateness. Reconnecting with your higher self. Another key aspect of spiritual awakening is dissolving the illusion of separateness, the idea that you are a separate, isolated individual, cut off from the rest of existence. Many spiritual traditions teach that this illusion is created by the ego, which defines itself in opposition to others and constantly seeks to reinforce its sense of separateness. But when you let go of the ego and awaken to your true nature, you realize that you are not separate from the universe. You are an inseparable part of it. This realization is often described as a state of oneness, unity, or cosmic consciousness. It's the experience of feeling deeply connected to all of life, beyond the boundaries of the ego. As the mystic poet Rumi beautifully puts it, "You were born with wings, why prefer to crawl through life?" This quote captures the essence of the backwards law. When you let go of the ego's limitations, you discover that you already have everything you need to fly. The ultimate paradox. Doing nothing to become everything. At its core, spiritual awakening is the ultimate expression of the backwards law. It's the paradox of doing nothing to become everything, of letting go of the ego's illusions and discovering your true infinite nature. This journey is not about achieving something new or becoming someone better. It's about realizing that you are already whole, complete, and perfect, just as you are. It's about remembering the truth that has always been within you, beneath the layers of conditioning and illusion. When you stop chasing after external things and start turning inward, you discover a source of peace, joy, and fulfillment that is not dependent on anything outside of you. This is the true power of the backwards law, a power that can transform your life from the inside out. In the next section, we'll explore how to apply the backwards law in your daily life. From relationships and career to health and personal growth, we'll look at practical ways to let go of control, embrace uncertainty, and watch how everything you've been seeking starts to come to you effortlessly. Practical applications of the backwards law. Let go and watch life transform. Have you ever noticed that the more you try to control life, the more it seems to slip through your fingers? It's as if the harder you cling to outcomes, the more elusive they become. This is where the backwards law becomes a practical tool for everyday living, not just a philosophical idea, but a way to experience genuine transformation in your relationships, career, health, and overall well-being. In this section, we'll explore how to apply the backwards law in practical, tangible ways. You'll learn how letting go of control, embracing uncertainty, and doing less can lead to greater success, fulfillment, and inner peace. It's not about giving up. It's about shifting your focus, relaxing your grip, and allowing life to flow naturally. 1. Relationships. Letting go of neediness and attachment. One of the most powerful applications of the backwards law is in the realm of relationships. Have you ever chased after someone's approval only to push them further away? This happens because neediness and attachment create resistance. The more you need someone to like you, the less likely they are to do so. Why? Because people can sense when you're seeking validation, and it often makes them feel pressured or uncomfortable. This is why so many spiritual teachings emphasize the importance of self-love and detachment. When you let go of the need to be liked, to be loved, or to control how others see you, something magical happens. You become more authentic, more relaxed, and more attractive. You stop trying to force connections, and instead, you allow relationships to unfold naturally. As the Zen saying goes, chase after the butterfly, and it will fly away. Sit still, and it may just land on your shoulder. This is the essence of the backwards law in relationships. By doing nothing, by simply being yourself, you create the space for genuine connection to blossom. 2. Career and success. The power of letting go of outcomes. In the world of career and success, we're often taught to hustle, grind, and push ourselves to the limit. But what if the key to success wasn't about working harder, but about working smarter, and paradoxically about letting go? Many high achievers have discovered that their biggest breakthroughs came not when they were desperately chasing success, but when they relaxed, trusted the process, and focused on doing what they love. Consider the story of Alan Watts, the British philosopher who popularized Eastern philosophy in the West. Watts taught that true success comes not from striving, but from aligning with the natural flow of life. He often compared life to music, saying, "The point of music is not to reach the end of the composition, but to enjoy every note along the way." When you let go of the obsession with outcomes, whether it's landing a promotion, hitting a certain income level, or achieving a specific goal, you free yourself from unnecessary stress and anxiety. You also open yourself up to unexpected opportunities, creative insights, and serendipitous events that can propel you forward in ways you never could have planned. 3. Health and well-being. Embracing effortless balance. The backwards law can also be a game changer when it comes to health and well-being. Have you ever noticed that the more you stress about losing weight, the harder it becomes? Or that the more you try to force yourself to sleep, the more restless you feel? This is because stress, anxiety, and control create resistance in the body and mind. When you're constantly trying to fix yourself, you reinforce the belief that something is wrong, which only amplifies the problem. The backwards law invites you to take a different approach. Instead of fighting your body, listen to it. Instead of forcing yourself to follow rigid diets or exercise routines, focus on cultivating a sense of balance, ease, and self-compassion. Research in the field of positive psychology supports this idea. Studies have shown that people who practice mindfulness, self-acceptance, and gratitude tend to experience better physical and mental health, often without having to try so hard. By letting go of the need to control your body, you allow it to return to its natural state of balance and vitality. 4. Creativity and flow. Doing less to achieve more. Another area where the backwards law can have a profound impact is in the realm of creativity and flow. Have you ever experienced a moment when you were so absorbed in what you were doing that time seemed to disappear and everything felt effortless? This state is known as flow, and it's often where our best work happens. The paradox of flow is that it can't be forced. The more you try to get into the zone, the more elusive it becomes. This is why many artists, writers, and musicians have discovered that their most inspired ideas often come when they're not trying, when they're relaxed, daydreaming, or doing something completely unrelated to their work. As psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, who popularized the concept of flow, explains, "The best moments in our lives are not the passive, receptive, relaxing times. They occur when a person's body or mind is stretched to its limits in a voluntary effort to accomplish something difficult and worthwhile. The backwards law teaches us that by doing less, by letting go of perfectionism, self-criticism, and the need to control every aspect of the creative process, we can tap into a deeper wellspring of inspiration, joy, and flow. 5. Embracing uncertainty, the gateway to freedom. At the heart of the backwards law is the idea of embracing uncertainty. We often think that control and certainty will make us feel safe, but in reality, they often create more anxiety and rigidity. When you let go of the need to know exactly how things will turn out, you free yourself to live more fully in the present moment. You become more open to life's surprises, more adaptable in the face of change, and more resilient in the face of challenges. As the philosopher Alan Watts reminds us, the only way to make sense out of change is to plunge into it, move with it, and join the dance. This is the ultimate paradox of the backwards law. When you stop trying to control life, you discover a deeper sense of freedom, flow, and fulfillment. Let go and watch everything fall into place. In this section, we've explored practical ways to apply the backwards law in your daily life, from relationships and career to health, creativity, and beyond. The common thread running through all of these examples is the idea of letting go, of releasing your need for control, certainty, and outcomes, and trusting that life will unfold as it's meant to. When you stop chasing after external things and start tuning into your inner wisdom, you may be surprised by how effortlessly everything you've been seeking starts to come to you. This is the power of the backwards law, a power that can transform not just your life, but your entire way of being. In the final section, we'll take a step back and reflect on the deeper message of the backwards law. We'll explore how this paradoxical principle can help you cultivate a sense of inner peace, purpose, and alignment with the natural flow of life. The ultimate lesson of the backwards law, finding peace in paradox. Have you ever wondered what life might look like if you stopped striving, stopped forcing, and simply allowed things to unfold naturally? At the core of the backwards law lies a profound truth, a truth that can set you free if you're willing to embrace it. This truth is simple, yet deeply paradoxical. By letting go, you gain everything you were seeking all along. In this final section, we'll take a deeper dive into the ultimate lesson of the backwards law and explore how this counterintuitive principle can help you cultivate lasting peace, purpose, and freedom. We'll reflect on the deeper message that runs through every chapter of this journey, a message about surrender, trust, and the art of living in harmony with life's natural flow. The power of surrender, letting go of control. One of the most profound lessons of the backwards law is the power of surrender. In a world that teaches us to control, conquer, and achieve, surrender can seem like weakness. But true surrender isn't about giving up. It's about letting go of resistance and allowing life to flow through you. Consider the ancient Taoist concept of Wu Wei, which can be translated as effortless action or non-doing. Wu Wei doesn't mean doing nothing in a passive, apathetic way. It means aligning yourself so deeply with the natural rhythm of life that your actions become spontaneous, fluid, and effective. As Lao Tzu, the author of the Tao Te Ching, wrote, "By letting go, it all gets done. The world is won by those who let it go. But when you try, the world is beyond the winning." When you stop trying to control every aspect of your life, whether it's your relationships, your career, or your personal growth, you create the space for something greater to emerge. You tap into the wisdom of the present moment, and you discover that life has a way of guiding you exactly where you need to be. 2. Trusting the process, embracing uncertainty. Another key lesson of the backwards law is the importance of trusting the process. We often seek certainty because we believe it will make us feel safe and secure. But the paradox is that true freedom comes not from knowing how everything will turn out, but from embracing the unknown. This is a theme that runs through many spiritual traditions. In Buddhism, for example, the practice of mindfulness is about learning to be fully present with whatever arises. without clinging to the past or worrying about the future. By letting go of your attachment to outcomes, you free yourself from the cycle of craving and aversion, and you discover a deeper sense of peace and equanimity. As the Buddhist teacher Pema Chodron says, the truth you believe and cling to makes you unavailable to hear anything new. When you let go of the need for certainty, you open yourself up to new possibilities, new perspectives, and new ways of being. 3. Finding freedom in acceptance. At its core, the backwards law is about acceptance. Accepting yourself, accepting others, and accepting life exactly as it is. This doesn't mean resigning yourself to a life of mediocrity or passivity. It means recognizing that true freedom comes from within, and that no external achievement or possession can give you the lasting happiness you seek. This idea is echoed in the teachings of Stoicism, a philosophy that emphasizes the importance of focusing on what you can control and letting go of what you can't. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus wrote, happiness and freedom begin with a clear understanding of one principle. Some things are within our control and some things are not. When you stop resisting reality and start accepting it with grace and equanimity, you free yourself from unnecessary suffering. You realize that peace isn't something you achieve by changing your external circumstances. It's something you cultivate by changing your relationship to the present moment. The art of being. Rediscovering your true self. The ultimate lesson of the backwards law is that who you are is enough. You don't need to prove yourself, fix yourself, or achieve some external ideal in order to be worthy of love, happiness, and fulfillment. This is a lesson that can be difficult to grasp in a culture that values productivity, achievement, and constant self-improvement. But true self-discovery isn't about adding more to your life. It's about peeling away the layers of conditioning, fear, and ego to rediscover the essence of who you really are. As the Indian mystic Ramana Maharshi said, your own self-realization is the greatest service you can render the world. When you stop striving to become something you're not, you create the space for your true self to emerge, and that self is already whole, complete, and perfect, just as it is. 5. Living the paradox. Doing nothing, gaining everything. The backwards law invites us to live in harmony with life's paradoxes. It teaches us that by letting go, we gain. By doing less, we achieve more. By surrendering, we find freedom. This doesn't mean abandoning your goals, dreams, or aspirations. It means approaching them from a place of alignment, flow, and trust. When you stop chasing after happiness, success, and love, you often find that they start to come to you naturally, without effort or struggle. This is the great paradox at the heart of the backwards law. When you stop trying to control life, life has a way of giving you everything you've ever wanted, and more. Embrace the backwards law and transform your life. As we come to the end of this journey, we invite you to reflect on the lessons of the backwards law and how they might apply to your own life. What would happen if you let go of control, embraced uncertainty, and trusted the natural flow of life? Perhaps you would discover that the happiness, success, and fulfillment you've been seeking have been within you all along. The backwards law isn't just a philosophical concept. It's a way of living, a path to freedom, and a reminder that sometimes the best thing you can do is nothing at all.